Hey, church, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for some more time right here in God's Word. Today, I want to give a quick shout out to my son-in-law, Elliot Engen, and my daughter, Faith Engen, who just announced that they're going to be parents, which, by the way, makes me a grandparent, which makes me feel older. Thank you so much for making me feel older in such a delightful way. This is for you today. We're going to be in Nehemiah chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 17 through 18. Nehemiah has now taken that trip around the wall at night, assessed the damage, and now he's going to make a speech before the people as he assembles a workforce. He says, "Then I said to them, you see the trouble we're in, how Jerusalem lies in ruins with its gates burned? Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem that we may no longer suffer derision. And I told them of the hand of my God that had been upon me for good, and also of the words that the king had spoken to me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for the good work." Fellas, in the book of Nehemiah, we have this profound example of what leadership looks like that speaks directly into the challenges that we face as men today, whether they be personal or spiritual or national. Nehemiah's response to the devastation of Jerusalem is not just a historical account. It's a powerful blueprint for how we can respond to the ruins and the burned gates in our own lives. Here's 4 things that Nehemiah does exceedingly well. First, Nehemiah demonstrates a deep sense of identification with the people. He says to them, you see the trouble we're in? And then I can see him pointing at the rubble. This isn't just about observing a problem. It's about he feels it. And men, as we are called to lead, whether in our families or our workplaces or our communities, true leadership starts with empathy. It begins with the understanding of the struggles and the pains and the challenges that we face and those around us are facing. It's standing with them in their troubles, not apart from them and walking past them. We got to connect with them deeply. Second, Nehemiah is unflinchingly realistic. He doesn't downplay the situation or sugarcoat the reality. The walls are indeed in ruins, and the gates have been burned. And even though they probably don't see them anymore because they've walked past them for 142 years, he's pointing out the reality again so they can actually see the problem ahead of them. And as men and as leaders, we need to be honest about the state of our own walls, be it spiritual walls and issues and relationships, or even moral issues, or national issues. We've got to assess our situations honestly, acknowledging our weaknesses and the areas where we need to rebuild. Third, Nehemiah is committed to action. He doesn't just talk action. He's about building the walls. He's going to mobilize people to start the project. And this is a critical lesson for us. Faith isn't passive. It's active. It's not just about believing in the power of God or praying that God will do something. It's about restoring and rebuilding it by taking a step of faith and being a part of the process. We're called to be men of action, to take initiative in repairing and strengthening the broken areas of our own lives and those of others. And number 4, lastly, Nehemiah's confidence is always rooted in God's will. I mean, he even shares his personal testimony of God's favor in this instance, encouraging others to trust in God's guidance and provision the same way. This is the cornerstone of a Christian man, of Christian leadership. It's leading by faith and being anchored in what God has already done. So when he calls us to do what he wants to do, he will be working through us. We are called to be men, not only who trust in our abilities, but to trust in the power of God and the abilities that he stewards to us and living obedient to God's call and his guidance. Our strength doesn't come from our gifts and abilities. It comes from him. And our action should be a reflection of our trust in his plan and purposes in us. And fellas, as I think about becoming a grandparent, I'm reminded that the legacy we leave is not just physical or material. It's something we build into the fabric of other people's spiritual lives. It's the moral and spiritual foundations we lay. And just as Nehemiah led the people to rebuild Jerusalem's walls, we're called to build and fortify our lives and our families and our communities and our churches on the principles of God's word. And to Faith and Elliot today, as you embark on this incredible journey of being a parent, remember that the greatest structure you're ever going to build is not one of bricks and mortar, but the nurturing and the shaping of the life that grows within you right now in the ways of the Lord. May you be blessed with wisdom and strength and joy as you step into this new chapter. And fellas, for all of you out there, the story of Nehemiah is a call to teach each of us to rise up and build. To build not just with our hands, but to build with our hearts and our faith and our lives committed to God's purpose. It's a call to be leaders in our own realms, leading by example, in empathy, in action, in faith. And let us strengthen our hands for the good works today, knowing that the hand of our God is upon us for good. I love you guys. I pray this blessed you. If it has, share it with someone else. I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.